Welcome back, everyone. Another episode of Power Tips coming at you. We are excited to dive into Dynamics 365 for service. But as Heidi's going to touch on here in a minute, that doesn't just mean Dynamics 365 for service. There's several components that we're going to talk about here. So Heidi, over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to point out that there is a brand new area to the service release notes for Wave 2. So as usual, we have our Dynamics 365 customer service. We also have Copilot for service. The new one is the Dynamics 365 contact center and Dynamics 365 field service. So all of this is bundled under the service section today. Overall, in all four of these areas, they promise to focus on infusing Gen AI into customer, agent, and supervisor experiences, which I think has been the theme over the last 3 or 4 releases. They're going to improve agent productivity and, of course, continue to extend Copilot throughout all of the apps. So for my slide, I wanted to very quickly highlight the features that are included in the customer service app section of the service release notes. So the first thing that we have is composing emails using improved attachment experience. So there's a screenshot here. You can see there's an inline preview of what the attachment is. It allows you to simply drag and drop something from your computer into the email and copy and paste things there as well. So making it more user-friendly and easier to use. This is slotted for early access in July, but I didn't see it yet, and general availability in October. Second is a default enhanced experience when handling recipients while composing email. So similarly, you can drag and drop recipients, you can copy and paste things. But what I thought was pretty neat is if you're using Teams and Exchange and all that great stuff, it will show the present status and out of office information, which you can see maybe very tinily on this screenshot. John Doe is out of the office. This is the same timing, early access July, GA in October. Extending Copilot with plugins. So this is the Copilot in customer service. So this is the in-app Copilot experience, not Copilot 4, which is the separate app. And that will allow your users to connect to systems without leaving Dynamics 365. The Copilot plugins are really similar to Power Automate connectors, but more fancy. So public preview for that is live now. You can start playing around with it. GA is also slotted for October, so that's another one coming this fall. You can view Copilot generated proactive prompts and insights, which we've seen elsewhere, but it's coming now to customer service. That one's also for October. And finally, update your queue members for agents in real time. So this is a real-time update. Today, if you make queue changes, you have to wait on average approximately 15 minutes, sometimes shorter than that. So this will be great for people that are actually using this feature. And that one is set for GA in October as well. So those are all of the updates coming to the Dynamics for Customer Service app. What do y'all think about these ones?
One thing I think was interesting is your screenshot for the email attachment, that was in customer service workspace. So some of that stuff, when we've seen the improved email functionality, it was in the pop-out window if you had that email engagement turned on.
Mm-hmm.
But this sounds like it's coming for all emails, no matter where you are, which is really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
And unrelated to that, and unrelated to all this, but just if you're listening, Microsoft, if you could do something about the SharePoint integration and extending the ability to drag and drop in the preview and all that, that would be wonderful. So if you happen to be wonderful, yeah.
Moving on to the features I called out, I got mine from the Copilot section, but we'll still see a little bit of overlap with some of the stuff Heidi talked about because she's talking about everything, and also even with some of the stuff that we talked about in the sales module, right? So I have 2 slides here for Copilot in Teams and Copilot in Outlook. So both of these would be customer service for or Copilot for customer service because they are outside of Dynamics. So in Teams, we're going to have the ability to get a customer service focused meeting summary. And we're also going to be able to create follow-up tasks in CRM. And the documentation does say CRM, not Dynamics. So that's exciting for us people who've been doing this for a while. But yeah, it'll be able to detect, what you've been doing in your meeting with a service kind of lens, determine those follow-up tasks, and then you'll be able to create them in Dynamics for you to follow up on later. And you're also going to be able to query CRM data. So from your Copilot chat, you could ask questions in Teams about your data in Dynamics. So really cool to see how that's going to kind of all come together. And then we also have an Outlook. There's one feature there to be able to schedule a meeting based on the context of an email. So you've seen in some of our Copilot things before, you've seen that it can already read the email, look at the context of the email, pull out those things. And then it can now will also be able to, based on the context of the email, say, hey, would you like to schedule a meeting? And look at your calendar and provide some options for that meeting and actually get that scheduled. So I think previously you would have to say, hey, let's schedule a meeting and kind of guide Copilot through that. But now, based on what's being said in the email, it's already going to be able to pull out that context and suggest scheduling the meeting. Any thoughts on our Copilot features we've talked about?
I really
feel
like that.
These
go
have
ahead.
all been around in Copilot for sales for a while,
Mhm.
haven't they? I mean, I use Copilot for sales in Teams all the time, and I've been getting those things for a while now. So it seems like this one's coming up
Catching
to
up.
parity with Copilot for sales, but maybe that's
Nice.
just me.
I think it came out technically at release later, so I think it makes sense that it's kind of lagging behind a little
Yeah.
bit. Maybe lagging is a strong word, but it's just by design, right? It's coming out. I love the query in
Yeah.
to be able to query data. I mean, you can see that if you're having a conversation and you just want to be able to natural language ask a quick question about how many orders does this customer have, or what's the
Yeah.
lifetime customer value, and that instead of having to go and dig that up. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to dig it up if you've got it structured the proper way, but being able to just fire that question off in the midst of a ongoing conversation, to me, that's pretty powerful stuff.
And if you've done the work to build up a nice knowledge management base, man, you are going to reap the rewards with Copilot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Love it.
Okay, so I picked there's a few different things here. WhatsApp support through Azure Communications. I don't know if you've ever traveled abroad. WhatsApp is the tool that people seem to use. If you go on like a tour or something and you need to get a hold of them or you book it, I would say 80% of the time, if not more, the one of the channels, if not the channel they give you to connect with them is via WhatsApp. So in some respects, I think it feels like we're catching up a little bit to the rest of the world and in making this available. So that was really exciting to me to see. Not a huge earth-shattering piece, but it is going to be able to be added as a new channel. So you can now convey with or converse rather with customers on that, which is cool. Heidi touched on the routing piece. No, you're good. Heidi touched on the routing piece in terms, not routing, the queue piece in terms of real-time updates for membership, which is awesome. Another queue-related item is this high priority queue routing. So the idea being you can now assign effectively a priority. I've given a little bit of information here. There's more in the release notes itself, but basically giving a group number field on the queue to identify high priority. There's some context you need to some nuance you need to understand about that. There's certain rules that'll apply if things are given the same number. It's going to do it alphabetically and so on, first in, first out. But just the fact that they're giving us the ability to say, if something comes into this queue, it's far more important, right, than these other things, or it's of more importance, therefore should be routed to somebody at a higher priority. So to me, that's a really important one for customer care representatives who are trying to field lots of calls on a variety of topics. Naturally, if you've got a system down situation, that's going to be more important than I stubbed my toe queue. So, and then finally, the last one is just an extension of what Heidi already talked about on the improved email attachment. I believe we've talked about that even before this one, because I know this is one of those updated ones. They have new and updated in the release notes. This one's an updated one. And so we may have already even touched on this in the past, but I want to just put the specific things you're going to be able to do from the release notes in here because I think these are some great functions. And as I said, totally an aside, but if you can extend the same functionality in the SharePoint piece, that would be awesome because the inability to even see a file preview and things like that, which I think may be coming around, but those functions that you're layering into customer service, Microsoft, are great. Let's extend those elsewhere as well. But you can see a bunch of stuff here, toggle between tile and grid views, export attachment details to Excel, and so on. There's lots of good stuff going on here. So those are the ones that I picked. Any thoughts or feedback on those? Or not?
Go ahead, Heidi.
Oh, go ahead.
I think it's interesting to get more details about all these features, and I've been learning more about all of the routing, and it's way more powerful than you expect. And there's so many features that are involved in the routing. So it'll be interesting to see how we can layer an additional level of complexity and specificity, I guess, to that. Makes it more confusing, but also more powerful, right?
I also like the routing stuff too. I believe it's pretty manual right now. If you want to escalate someone, you have to literally put them in a new queue. Might be wrong there, but I like that it's automated now. It's going to be a lot simpler to escalate, just to find what the criteria are and let it go on its own.
Yeah. Well, that's all that we have for you guys today. So those were our service features. Mainly we focused on customer service and Copilot for and in customer service, which is a little bit what we're focused on, right? So we didn't talk too much about contact center that we're just learning about, and field service. We'll have to touch on those another day, but thank you everyone for tuning in, and make sure you let us know down in the comments or on LinkedIn other things you'd like to hear about and what your favorite features are in this release wave. Thanks.